let's say, hypothetically, I walk up to you with a big ol' pure oxygen gas tank, hooked up to one of them hospital mask things that you see sick people wearing when they look like they're one happy meal away from death. And I ask you, hey, why don't you put this mask on for a few minutes? Heck, I'll even give you $100 as compensation. Sounds enticing, eh? After all, you gotta pay for that rent, right? I mean, how bad can oxygen be? It's like the breath of life. Like, what's the worst that could happen? So you accept this deal. I mean, that's just the logical thing to do. And so, congrats, you can afford to pay for this month's rent. But wait, hang on, it gets even better. What if I told you that you don't have to worry about rent ever again? Because you, my friend, have just died. So it turns out that pure oxygen is lethal. This obviously leaves you very distressed, like, what the fuck, oxygen? Aren't we supposed to be friends? And so, you're stuck in purgatory because of your newfound resentment, but that's okay, because let's say I walk up to you again, but this time with a big ol' whiteboard, here to explain to you why and how exactly you just died so that you can move on and be at peace. Before we continue, I just want to clarify that inhaling 100% oxygen is not going to kill you instantly. Your immediate death, that was just for dramatic effect. In fact, you can inhale pure oxygen for 1 to 2 days and sustain no serious injuries. It is still, however, ill-advised. Moderate irritation of the pulmonary tract will ensue after 3 to 6 hours, followed by uncontrolled coughing after 10 hours, and it just keeps getting worse and worse all the way to death. So what is actually happening? Why has oxygen betrayed us here? To explain that, we need to understand cellular respiration. This is the process which uses oxygen in order to create ATP. We won't delve into too much detail. What's important is that one of the steps involve oxygen accepting an electron, forming what is known as a superoxide anion, and this later gets stabilized by the addition of hydrogen ions. And the end product of that stabilization is just, in fact, water. Just think about it. What happens if we breathe in a lot of oxygen? They're going to get converted into superoxide anions, but since we got loads of them, there's not going to be enough hydrogen ions to stabilize these guys. Now, why is it important to stabilize these guys? Well, just take a look at the name itself. I mean, they've got a super in their name. These guys are out for trouble. They are, in fact, part of a category of molecules called reactive oxygen species, or ROS for short. As the name suggests, these guys will chemically react with just about anything. Proteins, cell membrane, even DNA. This leads to serious cell damage and inflammation. The bulk of this damage will obviously be lungs, because that's just the area that's exposed to the most oxygen. Now, the body of course has mechanisms to deal with ROSs when the situation gets out of hand, which is I guess why you don't immediately die. Although if you breathe in pure oxygen for like 10 days straight, you can expect these backup mechanisms to fail as well, and then death will surely come. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry about that. Speaking of come, babies, babies, specifically prematurely born babies. Oxygen will fuck these guys up real bad. So why then do these babies have tubes pumping pure oxygen straight into their weak and frail bodies? Well, you see, they have no lungs. Hasn't developed yet. Now this is no worry, give it a few months and all that needs developing will be developed. Except, no. You're pumping in pure oxygen, so oxygen transfer is going to be so goddamn efficient that the body feels no need to develop the blood vessels. What happens then when the baby no longer needs to be intubated? We go from 100% oxygen to 21%. Now, this is not a problem if the baby has regular normal blood vessels, but that's not the case. These blood vessels have been living in luxury, 100% oxygen for the past few months, and only now do they get kicked out of their parents' home, unprepared like I am to face the harsh reality of this world. So what do? They grow, and they grow rapidly, counteracting the oxygen deficiency by increasing transportation efficiency. Problem is, this growth is too rapid, too uncoordinated, and it wreaks havoc in certain parts of the body. In the end, the eye is the one that suffers the most damage. Worst case scenario? Blindness. This is known as retinopathy of
Hey, you're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush. Same as us. And that thief over there.